break. The Louisiana High School State Championship games being played down in New Orleans started out Thursday, going into yesterday, and then it'll be finishing up today. I'm looking forward to the matchups today. A lot of talent here in the state of Louisiana, and I have the privilege of where I get a chance to see it as a football official here. I'm a part of the Baton Rouge Association, so I cover a plethora of different areas. I'm using that word today, plethora, okay? I cover many different areas around the capital city area, the metro area, and I get a chance to see some really great talent in this area. And I tell people all the time, because they always ask me, I get questions from people out of state that ask about Louisiana. And I say, you know, when I look at the athletes here, I don't compare it to states like Texas and even Florida, right? Because when I just look at Texas as a whole, I look at the powerhouses and the amount of finance that goes into those programs. When I would say programs, I'm talking about the facilities and everything else that goes into a program. And those kids have an abundance of resources to go behind them, whether it's nutrition, whether it's weights, whether it's whatever the case may be. Those kids have, seems like sometimes, unlimited resources that go behind them in high school football in the state of Texas. Now, I get a chance to go around the state of Louisiana, and I see a lot of programs, or sometimes I see a lot of teams, not necessarily programs. I see teams, right? And these teams doing what they can with what they can. They don't have the big fancy facilities. They don't have the big fancy stadium. Hell, some of them may not even have turf. The vast majority of them don't have turf. You know, the weight room may be in the back of a gym. They don't have all the equipment outside to use as practice. But what I get a chance to tell them is, man, I see raw talent. Just raw talent with a ton of potential, which is why I think you get so many schools from across the nation that come in and recruit within the state of Louisiana. When you get schools that's looking all across the country to the state of Louisiana, you see why. The programs aren't necessarily, you know, the programs of the century, you know, where they just known for state championships. Hell, you can go find a team that probably went, 4-6 on the season, and have 2-3 guys that are able to play FBS football. It's just like that around here. Just raw talent. And you see these guys, man, and all you could do is look at them and say, man, look, the potential in that kid, listen. The River Parish area, people talk about around right here in Baton Rouge. The New Orleans area. The middle of Louisiana. Check out Alexandria in the state championship today. Then North Louisiana, how about Ruston? Neville just got beat by Central. Those are mostly your programs when I'm talking about your Rustons, your Neville, right? Zachary, that's a program. But then you just get these teams, right? Well, they're not really known for making it deep into the playoffs. They're not known for contending for state championships. They're just teams that are on the schedule. You know, they win here and there, but when you see these teams, you're like, dang, who is number 73? Man, who is number 6? 81, man, where is that kid going to school? I get the opportunity to see that a lot. And, you know, and that's what I tell people all the time. You get just raw talent here in the state of Louisiana. And it's amazing to watch it because you're looking at the surroundings. You look at the lack of resources. And sometimes you look at the lack of community support. I will say Baton Rouge definitely has to do better when it comes to supporting its local high school football. And I'm not talking about the private schools, right? The UHAs, the Catholics, the Episcopal, and whatever of those other schools. I'm just talking about the everyday schools around here, the Bel Air, the Terras, the Strumas. I can go on and on. Sometime I get those games, man, we'll be at Memorial Stadium. And I know everybody even talk about Capitol High. I don't be seeing the support for them kids like it's supposed to be. Some talent out there. I just don't be seeing the support. It'll be a game and it's 200 people at the game, if that. I've done games here in Baton Rouge where literally it was just the bands and the cheerleaders between two high schools and us on the field on a Friday night. Literally an empty stadium with the bands and the cheerleaders and maybe 5 parents. That's the other thing, the parent support. I'm big about that type of stuff. When I look into the stands and I want to know, man, are the parents here supporting these kids? Is the community here to support these kids? You know, I had an opportunity to work with Louisiana youth football this year. Shout out to my man Leroy. The support I see for those kids was that the South Baton Rouge, you got the Rams, you got the Jaguars, you had the Kings, some more teams out there. The Crimson Tide, the future, the little kids. Man, listen. An IPA announced for them this year. I had to hype the fans up, get them into it. Create some form of excitement into those games because, listen, I always talk about it. Them little kids need the support. Those coaches need the support. We got to support those young people. And that's when I talk about those small town USA places that support their teams, that when it's time to go to the Dome, the entire town closed down. Nobody's at work. Nobody's at home. Headed to New Orleans. But I would like to see more support, especially right here in Baton Rouge, because I see that a lot when I get these inner city schools. And I guess, the inner city schools, y'all know what I'm talking about. Don't nobody be there. Don't nobody be supporting them. Some more than others, but for the vast majority of them, man, nobody's out there supporting those kids, man. Putting resources to help those students and those coaches. That bothers me sometimes. And I guess I'm a little bothered by it today as I'm talking about these different teams in different places from around the state. And then, the first thing people say, well, we don't recruit. Well, I'm saying this about Southern. This is what people say about Southern. Well, they don't recruit the Baton Rouge area. And I'm going to ask the coaches today because I don't, I guess that notion because students don't typically say, hey, I'm signing a scholarship or I want to go to Southern. And sometimes they just decide to maybe want to go somewhere else that people take that and say, well, they're not recruiting Baton Rouge. I've even heard saying they're not recruiting New Orleans. I don't know how you don't recruit Louisiana, period, if you're coaching in the state of Louisiana.